today. Friends, the Lord is risen. Indeed. Amen. Before we begin, just a couple of things to say. As I said already, a very warm welcome to all of us, but particularly to the families of Funa and Martin and Roy and Deborah on Baptism Day as well. Isn't this brilliant? This is such an exciting occasion for us. Just got one or two other things to mention. Just a reminder of a couple of things which are coming up in the next week or two. That next Sunday evening, we will be having an event which we call the Sermon on the Night We Missed. So, having preached through the Sermon Point and reflected on it as a church between January and early April, we just felt it would be helpful to come together, think again about the big themes which have emerged in the church, try and unpack them and think about their significance for us as a church as we look ahead. And then you'll also have picked up, hopefully, news sheets about the big brekkie, which we are going to be sharing together on the 12th of May. We'll be having breakfast in Aid of Christian Aid before the morning service on the 12th of May. And there's a sign-up sheet in the foyer. And you can ask Pauline as well, Pauline Hiscox, about more details about that event if you need them. This is a family service this morning, so we realise things could be a little bit noisier and so on than normal. We do have creche facilities out in the foyer here if you feel that you need to use them, and the sign from the service will be relayed out to there as well, and you can see the visual images. And then I think primary school age groups, Key Stage 1 and 2, you will be going out just for a few moments for a little part of the service, and we'll give the nod when that's happening. I don't know about you, but well, I'm sure many of us were struck and saddened and grieved over when we saw these images which were being relayed to us on our phones or on our laptops or whatever we catch the news on Monday evening. There was something tragic, wasn't there, about seeing that beautiful place of Christian worship in Notre Dame being ravaged by flames. And then I believe you might have seen on Tuesday morning the first images of that were taken from inside the building. And I don't know how many of you saw this, but to me there was something astonishingly beautiful about the charred inside of this building and the light shining on that cross, which just seemed to triumphantly and with determination and resolve speak of how our God will not be defeated. And I know lots of people said that gold doesn't melt, or at least reduce the temperature much higher than that which ravages wood. But incredible to see the candles on the altar, which had actually been preserved in spite of that fire. So it's a symbol of decay in that building, and it's a symbol of destruction in that building. And yet within it there shines a cross on an altar that speaks of how our God is triumphant as well, something powerful there. And I looked at that and I remembered these words that we find that Paul writes in 1 Corinthians. Where, O death, is your victory? Where, O death, is your sting? The sting of death is sin, and the power of sin is the law, but thanks be to God, He gives us the victory through our Lord Jesus Christ. That's what we've come to celebrate this morning. Paul will lead us just now in a number of songs to begin with, and in the third of these songs, those of us who regularly worship are able to come on offering. Thanks.
Well, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning. What a beautiful morning. Tell the person next to you it's a good day. It's a glorious day. Let's just continue to gather our thoughts for a moment and be still for a moment. Think about this glorious day. Let's come with expectation as we worship. Oh, holy God, you are almighty.
don't know why they pray. So Peter and the other disciple started for the tomb. Both were running, but the other disciple outran Peter and reached the tomb first. He bent over and looked in at the strips of linen lying there, but did not go in. Then Simon Peter came along behind him and went straight into the tomb. He saw the strips of linen lying there, as well as a cloth that had been wrapped around Jesus' head. The cloth was still lying in its place separate from linen. And finally, the other disciple who had reached the tomb first also went inside. He saw and believed, and still did not understand from Scripture that Jesus had to rise from the dead. Then the disciples went back to where they were staying. Now Mary stood outside the tomb crying. As she wept, she bent over and looked into the tomb and saw two angels in white seated where Jesus' body had been, one at the head and the other at the feet. They asked her, "Well, why are you crying?" "They've taken my Lord away," she said, "and I don't know where they have put him." At this, she turned around and saw Jesus standing there, but she did not realize that it was Jesus. He asked her, "Woman, why are you crying? Who is it that you are looking for?" Thinking it was the gardener, she said, "Sir, if you've carried him away, tell me where you've put him, and I'll get him." Jesus said to her, "Mary." And she turned toward him and cried out in Aramaic, Rabboni, which means teacher. Jesus said, "Do not hold on to me, for I have not yet ascended to the Father. Go instead to my brothers and tell them, I am ascending to my Father and your Father, to my God and your God." And then Mary Magdalene went out to the disciples with the news, "I've seen the Lord." And she told them that he had said these things to her. And a prayer. Oh Lord God, how again do we find words to express our wonder, our marvel, our delight at this story and what you do and who you are? Come to us now, we pray. Speak to us afresh. And may what stays with us, what we take from today, only be that which is your word to us. And we pray this in your name. Amen. It might seem like a strange place to start the reflection this morning, but I've been thinking about this passage, and it got me thinking to all the times, all the occasions over the years when I've been in graveyards. And I'm sure that we'll all have had different moments, different occasions like this, and some of them, they stay with us more vividly, more pointedly than others. I was thinking particularly, when I looked at this passage, about a really vivid occasion that still stays with me. It was over 10 years ago, and my brother-in-law had just been killed in a road accident. And I went about 2 weeks after David's funeral to his grave. And it was, that horrible moment when the flowers that have been placed on the grave after the burial are still there, but they're wilting and they're withering and they're giving out. And it just seems to be another pointed reminder of what has happened. And I can still remember standing with Helen and looking at this grave and thinking about my brother-in-law, this largely life character who went out for his cycling race every week. It was called Morale, that was his nickname in the cycling club, which gives you an idea of just what a presence he was. And that feeling you have sometimes when you stand and you're at the grave of someone and you love them and you care for them and you have a sense of how they're there but they're not there. You know that feeling? Because you're thinking, well, I'm close to you now and in your presence, and actually maybe this is as close as I'm ever going to get now to you. But deep down that they're not really there. Because you've got this awful sense, You know it in your heart that they're beyond your reach. It's hard to talk about these moments, but this is what death does. Death is this great separator. It is this curse, and it cuts us off from the people we love and the people who are dear to us. And I was thinking about that kind of experience, and then I was thinking about this reading from John, and I got myself thinking as well about a song which some of us here might not know, but it might jog a memory for others. We might be familiar with it. The story goes that about 100 years ago, a guy called Austin Miles, who was a writer of gospel songs, was asked by the people who he wrote songs for to come up with a new song. In the words of the person who commissioned it, he was asked to come up with something that was, quote, sympathetic in tone, breathing tenderness in every line, a song that would bring hope to the hopeless, rest for the weary, and dying pillows to dying beds. And the story goes that Miles sat down at the organ and he opened his Bible to his favourite chapter, which is the one from John 20, the resurrection account that we've just read. And before too long, he'd written a song from the perspective of Mary. And somehow I find a form of words that other Christians have found to be a form of comfort. Somehow a form of words that speaks from Mary's perspective. But somehow there's words that we can make our own as well. You might recognise, and this is what he wrote. I come to the garden alone, while the dew is still on the roses, and the voice I hear, falling on my ear, the Son of God discloses. And he walks with me, and he talks with me, and he tells me I'm his own, and the joy we share as we tarry there, none other has ever known. And of course there's something really simple about the words. And some of us might even think they're a bit sentimental. I mean, I don't know, why the roses? But there's something beautiful, and there's something profound, and there's something there which speaks about what happened on that first morning. And in many ways you read it and you think, well, it's a story which just belongs to Mary because it's expressing what she experienced as she went to that garden. You know, she's bereft and she's full of mourning and she's expecting to do nothing more than tend the grave of this master who she's loved. And she's going and she's feeling the aching chasm between herself and the man she gives so much to. And she's feeling that distance that death throws up between us and the people we love. Death which robs us. And yet she comes away finding herself in a situation which is transformed far beyond her imagination, because she comes alone and she comes away and she's met again with Jesus. She's expecting to be face to face with the awful finality of death, and she comes and she discovers resurrection. Wow. And everything is different. Everything's different today compared to what it was like last night. And Mary comes away. Mary has a sense that it's possible to see beyond death, and it's possible to see beyond mourning, and it's possible to see beyond loneliness and separation from death. Something so fundamental. I guess her mind's just starting to grasp it and get her head around it. Something fundamental has occurred because God has pushed back in the ultimate way on death. The destroyer and the destructor and all of the forces of evil which have pushed back for too long against God's reign and God would have things be, have gone. One of the things that occurs to me when I look at this story again is how it's so big and it's so personal. Think about that for a moment. And what is happening here is massive. Here is this change of cosmic proportions. Here is the curse of death being reversed. Here is the moment of defeat for the forces of sin. Here is God showing to us resurrection, how he intends things to be. It is wonderful and it is huge, and we can't find words to do justice to this. And yet it's so personal. Because we know when we read the story as well, Mary isn't just standing in this garden and seeing history made. She's seeing Jesus who loves her, and he's coming back to her. She's seeing Jesus who reached into her life and who changed her life, and she thought she'd lost him, and now her Saviour's come back. And I find myself thinking, isn't this what God is like? Isn't this an amazing picture? Just a demonstration of how God brings his renewal and his healing and his hope into the world. He's not saving our world with some kind of cosmic reboot. Shall I try turning it off and on again? He's not inventing the God app and saying, download it on your smartphones and have all the answers that you need that way. Jesus comes to us personally. Jesus comes one by one. Jesus makes his first appearance to this lonely woman, this lonely disciple in a garden. Here's Jesus, and he knows what it is to be at the friend of his grave, or the grave of his friends and weep. He knows what it is to party with people who others look down on. He's a wise teacher, he's a gentle healer. He went to people's homes and had meals with them. He had a beach barbecue with his disciples not long after this. Imagine having fresh fish with Jesus on the beach. Because Jesus is personal. Because Jesus loves people and he comes alongside them and he spends time with them. People like Mary and Peter and James and John. Just a few chapters earlier in John's Gospel, there's this moment where Jesus is spending time with his disciples. It's not long before he's going to be arrested and killed. And he says this about the relationship that he has with them. I no longer call you servants, because a servant doesn't know his master's business. Instead, I've called you friends. For everything that I've learned from my Father, I've made known to you. I mean, that's an amazing thought. You take a moment to pause and contemplate that. For a rabbi, for a teacher, to relate to his disciples in that way, it's not normal, but this is what Jesus is about. Jesus is about relationship. Jesus is about changing Mary's life and Peter and James and John's life. Jesus is going to spend a little bit of time later on this resurrection day walking alongside some friends and chatting to them in their perplexity and their distress. And when they finish walking along that Emmaus road, he's going to sit down and he's going to have a meal with them. Because he's about changing Cleopas and Mary's life. And in a couple of minutes' time, we're going to hear about the stories of Deborah, and we're going to hear about Ophulia's story, and Roy's story, and Martin's story, and we're going to hear about how Jesus has met with them, and he's drawn them in his love, and he's changing them as well, because that's what Jesus is about. A couple of years ago, maybe you remember it, maybe you don't, but there was a trend among Christians, and it seems to have worn off a bit now. You don't seem to see it done as much these days. But do you remember, people used to walk around with these bracelets, and they would have on them the initials WWJD. Do you remember that, any of us? And the bracelets, the initials on them stood for what would Jesus do? So it was kind of memory that you could go around, and any difficult or problematic or ethical quandary or whatever you were in, you looked down at the bracelet, and it reminded you maybe what decision you ought to take at that moment. I wonder if there's almost a way of thinking this morning that maybe we should wear those bracelets again, but we could wear another bracelet as well. And I would suggest you could call it an HWJD bracelet. And that wouldn't just be to remind us what would Jesus do. It would be reminding us, well, how would Jesus do it? And I look at this story again this morning, and I think the answer is, you know what? I think Jesus would do it personally.
Because this is what our God is like. He is the kind of God we're celebrating and we're worshipping. There's no more death. Death is defeated. The whole world is different now. Everything is different since last night. It's massive, but it's personal. Because he's here, and he's waiting to start a relationship. He's come back from the dead, and he's raised to new life. But you know what? He still comes to you. The hands are different, and they're calloused, and there's marks in them, but they're still held out, and they're extended to you. And he's here to make things new. And he's here to help you find new hope and possibilities, so that all the things that you think are closed down, he's able to help you find a way through. And all the pain and all the hurt that you feel, he's able to help you find healing. And all of the habits and all of the patterns in your life and all of the cycles that you think are just doomed to repeat themselves, he's here to come to you personally and say they can change. All of the messed up relationships that you grieve over and you think, how can they ever be made right? He's here to say that I'm coming to you and I'm reconciling myself to you. And I can help you get that reconciliation worked out in other situations in your life as well. Because Jesus is massive and Jesus is personal. Be quiet and listen to the voice. The voice I hear falling on my ear. Son of God, disguises. Lord God, we marvel again. We marvel again at this story. I pray